Hi. Long time no see. I figure we're gonna just push past everything that has gone on. Is on one hand a shit ton of depression, and on the other, I'm gonna break into my first time with cover ID. As you know, there's a big pandemic going on, and I guess I'm gonna talk about my experience with it. Now, a long time ago, I don't remember exactly when, but the gist is that I got my second shot. The first shot I got was not that bad. The nurse was quite nice, and I was nervous for it because I haven't had a shot in a long time. And eventually she did it right and it was fine. I was like, oh, that's there you go. That's what the shot's like. But the second time, I mean, the first time was okay to the extent that I think that everybody should have the shot at least once. Because the second time, I think it was like another Saturday that I got the shot, and it was so painful on one hand, because it went. I think she did. I think the nurse on the second nurse did it wrong because it hurt so bad. It like went actually like in the muscle as opposed to like in your arm. Kind of. It was like it was really painful, and besides the fact that it was really painful, more painful than the first time. Um, I think that was on like a Saturday, and it took me a couple days to get into the full swing of things, which was just, mm, it was so bad. It was so bad. I got the shot on like a Saturday, and it took me a few days to get used to it, I guess. But uh, on a Tuesday, wow, I just it was the worst experience ever. Like I actually felt, and I'm not even hyperbolizing. I am hyperbolizing it, but I actually felt like I was gonna die. It was it was like the worst feeling ever. I felt like I was nauseous, so I felt like I had to vomit nonstop, and I also felt like I had to go to the washroom nonstop, so I had to like be on the can doing that stuff. But it was like that, plus I think I don't even know if it's the worst thing, but a really bad thing was that I couldn't gauge my temperature. Like I felt like really hot. Like I felt like I was sweating nonstop sweating, vomiting, wanting to go to the washroom, all at the same time. And oh my gosh, I was just like on the floor in pain, and I was thinking, this is how I'm gonna die. And I was thinking like, wow. I was thinking about like, oh, I didn't even get to fight a will. I was, this is how I die, and it was so bad. But that was it was just so bad. I just like, where do you even go? I have to patent my invention. I have to patent my invention of like, you're vomiting, but you also have to go to the washroom at the same time. So I have to make a thing where you can do both at the same time because it was like so bad. But I think the sweating was nonstop. I couldn't like, it was I just I had it was like the chills, but it was also like I was sweating a lot. So I was all like, wow, I'm like, it's like I was like in a sauna at the same time. Cause like I think that's how your body deals with it is that you feel like you're in a sauna and you're sweating out the sickness, but still like, oh my gosh, I'm effing dying. And I was like, I didn't get to write down my will. Do I have any things to pass on to other people? Like I was like, I, I'm gonna die. I can't believe this is how I'm gonna die. This is how I go out. Just I don't even know how to describe it. Like, everything's just messed up, and that's how I do it, and that's just how I'm gonna die. And it was so bad. And I remember phoning my mom. I was even like, I was just phoning home, and I was like, somebody save me. I was like, this time I'm gonna die. Like, I was so upset. I was like, save me, because I was like, this is so bad. Because I have a habit. Let me describe the habit I have. Okay, the habit I have, where I lie down on the floor of the washroom more often than I would like to admit, and that's just how I deal. I'm like on the floor of the washroom, and I'm just like either head in the toilet or sitting on the toilet, but like it's just the worst. And it was like that, but times like a million, because it was everything plus the sweating, plus I was like, what do I do? How do you get past this? Like, what? This how I was like so certain, like this is how I'm gonna die. I was like gonna like I was so certain I was gonna die that I was like, I'm gonna phone 911 right now, and I need some, because I need some help. So, in so many words, my mom reacted, and she was really upset with me. We went to interesting places that night, or that day, not Tuesday, uh, where I was told. I remember at the time what my sister-in-law told me, which is that when you're like running a fever, make sure your hands and your feet are cold or something, so it'll temperature wise fix you better. Because if your hands and your feet are cold, then your body will be cold too. So I was trying to focus on that. Um, in the washroom, in the bathtub, I was trying. My mom ran me a bath, and I tried to temperature wise do that, like try to get my temperature back to normal. Hell in a handbasket, honestly. I just remembering that was the worst thing ever. But it took me a few a little bit to realize all of this was because I got the second dose that Saturday, and it took my body a while to be like, oh, and this is how we're gonna die on that Tuesday. So that, in so many words, was how I reacted to getting the shot, which is my own little version of how I got cover ID, and that's how I dealt with it. It's just the worst time. That what happened that day and how I dealt with it. If that's what the disease is, oh my gosh. My heart goes out to anybody who ever had to go through that, because it's the worst thing in the world. It's just the worst thing in the world, and I'm so sorry for anybody who has to go through that. It's so my body couldn't deal with it. But in so many words, like, I'm glad that I went through that in some ways, because like I have a new perspective on it. But still, at the same time, oh my gosh, it's the worst thing in the world, and I wouldn't wish it on anybody. It's just so bad. It's like, not even joking about it. It's like so bad. But having cover ID is just I don't wish it on anybody. It's just so bad. Um, but eventually, uh, we put into perspective in that a few days ago, or past that, I realized like, oh, this is my reaction to the immunization that I got. So this was my version of the illness. This is how my body treated the illness. Apparently, that's a good thing, because if you don't take the if you don't get the shot and you don't get a reaction to it, that is the cell, like that's how your body's fighting the illness, and that's how I fought it, is just effing dying on the floor. That's just what I went through. Just everything going everywhere, and just, oh my god, it was so bad. But I'm glad that I survived it, and in so um in other words, like, I realized that even though I was like thinking like, oh, what assets do I have? Who am I selling that stuff to? Who am I giving that stuff to? Like all that stuff. Um, I can put it off for future time. I was thinking about like my will and stuff, and I was like, oh, it's also like, well, you're not gonna die because you're still around, and that was just a really really bad time. Hell on earth. It was the worst feeling I've ever gone through. It was just the worst thing I've ever gone through, and um, that's also my experience with Cover ID. I will see you guys when I see you guys. Love X Lyrics. Bye.